Hello, Diane. Hello, Heidi. Hello, Anu. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm getting off to a bit of a late start today. Had some technical difficulty with the app, but that was not surprising. Hello, Stephanie. Welcome. It seems to be a very busy day. Lots of information flying about, lots of people excited and engaged. So, welcome, Mary. Thank you all so much for being here. As I've got another episode of of Meaningful Messages, and today we're talking about Are You a Martyr or a Thief? And I'm just going to give another moment or so. Hopefully, some of the folks who've been coming for the last 3 or 4 episodes, yeah, 4 episodes, I think, of this program. Maybe they're going to join us. I'm getting off to a late start. So, welcome, Anna Cortez. Hello. And anybody who is catching the replay, whether you're listening on Fireside or you're listening on the podcast, I appreciate you. And so, for those of you who haven't been with me before, my name's Nicole Holland, and I'm really excited to bring you this series. It's for folks who have something within them that they feel they have this urge, this need to share with the world. And I suspect that many of you here with me meet that criteria. We are in a time that is so fascinating and exciting, and at the same time can be really scary for a lot of folks. And there are so many among us who have messages and visions of hope and of prosperity and of peace and of ease. And it is now more than ever before the time for those of you who have these knowings of what is good and what is coming in the way of abundance and prosperity to share with the world. Shoshani, hello. What a beautiful picture. Thank you for being here. So the title of this episode, Are You a Martyr or a Thief? It can be read in, multiple ways. And Stephanie, I just want to shout you out. I don't know if you're going to pop out real quick, but I'm coming to your show later. I love you so much, and it's so beautiful to see you. I'm so excited for what got going on after this show a little later. So I'm going to keep this short so I can join you over there because you've got some really important things to share. Um, so, are you a martyr or a thief? This can be read depending on how you receive it as, are you a martyr or are you a thief? Right? Or it could be, now, are you a martyr or a thief? Or it could just be, are you a martyr or a thief? So, when we see things, how we receive what we're reading, what we're hearing, is indicative of the experience that we're going to have with it. And so, just off the bat, I wanted to bring that to your attention because right before I hopped on here, when I was having some trouble with the app, I received a message from a dear friend of mine, and he had sent me a link to something that came out in, I think it was the Daily News or something today in the UK about the Pope's sermon. And there's there's going to be a lot of information. There is already a lot of information, but in the coming days and months, there's going to be a lot of information that can be really polarizing. And so I really just want to remind you that what we read or what we hear, the opinions, the headlines, take a breath if you feel anxious about anything before reacting and just ask yourself, why is this being received in the way it's being received right now? So I want to tell you this question: Are you a martyr or a thief? What I was intending with this is, are you a martyr or a thief? So when we're sharing our messages, there is the tendency to blend together because we're human, and so we are both ego being and spiritual being. And so when we share our messages, there's a tendency to blend together the core of what is in our heart and what is in our soul, and what we feel is our purpose and our passion and what we're here to share with the world, along with the reality. And when we are Natalie, Carol, Terry, Tony, Teresa, thanks for joining. When we are focused more on the external of what we believe is expected of us from others, and when we are focused more on the reality of the bills that have to be paid and all of the conditions that we're living in, it is very easy for us to lose our way from who we are and what our true message and mission is. And so, the way this shows up when we are out of balance and when we are out of integrity with ourselves, often, is that you may have heard it as it's often described as this victim triangle, right? Where there's a being, an individual, an entity who is coming from the victim space where they're being put upon and things are done to them and things are very difficult. And then there's the savior or the martyr, who is the person who, or the persona that is doing unto others. Or sorry, the savior, the martyr, that's the person who's like trying to protect and doing all the good but depleting themselves, and it's, they're not taking care of themselves but they're giving to others, so then they feel victim sometimes as well. And then there's the villain, the one who is doing unto others. And so when we are in this ego focused experience, we go between these three personas. And sometimes we are playing the victim, and sometimes we are playing the villain, and sometimes we are playing the martyr or the saint, right? And so it's important that when you're a messenger and you know that you're a messenger, it's important that you take time and check in with yourself often to ask yourself, where am I in my message? Am I sharing because it is for others' benefit, to be in communication, to be in resonance? Or is it coming from a place of seeing others as less than, or seeing myself as less than, or where am I coming from? And so that is what the point of this question, are you a martyr or a thief, is, because it's my intention that as messengers, that I can inspire you at the very least to really, again, take that time and check in with yourself, so that when you are sharing your message, it is as pure and as honest and as vulnerable and as authentic to who you are as life force, as this gift, as this messenger who's sharing from within, not from without. When we fall into the egoic sense and we are sharing from that space, there's a deficit, and it can be felt oftentimes, and it breeds fear. And in these times that we're in now, and in the coming weeks and months ahead, there's going to be more and more opportunity for miscommunication and for people to be interpreting messages as very scary. And that's not what it's about. Life is meant to be lived, life is meant to be loved. And we are all part of a whole. We all have divinity. We are all perfect in who we are. And when we can look at others and see the divinity in them as well, then we are not here to save anyone, right? We are not here to protect anyone, because nobody needs protecting. If we believe that we are all divine and we are all perfection, then we can appreciate one another, even if we don't like behaviors, or we don't like what we're hearing, or we don't like what we're seeing. We can own our own perspective and share from the place of love and appreciation, rather than condemnation and blame and shame and pointing out separation. I don't know how this is resonating, because literally I'm just flying into it after a very intense message before. So I'm going to check the comments here. Oh, Carol, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, so if anybody would like to talk about this concept, by all means, go ahead and hit that button to request to speak. I love doing interactive broadcasts. I love workshopping things, and I'd love to talk it out with you guys. Because if nobody else has anything, I'm just going to keep on going. So, questions are welcome all the time. Questions, questions, questions are great, and workshopping and dialogue is always good too. All right. So Tony says, so true. I'm unable to find true happiness lately. I feel unattached from my life in so many ways. Is this normal stage to go through? Absolutely. I'm 51 and this is most definitely an unfamiliar. Oh my gosh. Yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh, Tony, get on up here. All right. So yes, let's talk that out. I think that a lot of people can relate to the way you're feeling right now, Tony, and especially those of us who are at the middle age mark or close to it, because we were raised in a time that was very different from what it is now. In contrast, it seems so extreme. And those who came after us, who are a bit younger, they're not quite as affected by the shifts and changes as our generation is, because they have subtly been immersed in it. But it's really our generation that, and older than us, that's going through the most difficulty in the transition, because we have we have been observing, but not really from a place of understanding and immersion. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what have you got? Talk to me, ask a question. Let's see if we can get some clarity around this. Is there anything coming up for you specifically you'd like to know? You're on the mic, so you can speak if
Oh,
you'd
can
like.
you hear me?
Oh, yes, yes, you absolutely can.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't
I
be. Is this
couldn't
your
tell.
first time?
Yes, it is.
Welcome. Fantastic. Thank you for being brave and coming on stage with me.
Thank you for having me. I don't know. I feel just lost lately, and I feel like life is happening all around me, and I find I have little interest in it. And I don't feel like I'm depressed or anything. I just I'm consumed. I just think with so much that's going on in the world right now that I'm I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I I've found myself trying to do new things like meditating and being more open minded. And I had a Reiki healing, and I'm still trying to think about how I feel about that. I'm noticing I'm delving into a lot of things that I would have thought were kind of silly before,
Yeah.
that I'm are resonating with me. And so I think I need to find a way to increase my vibration and to get into nature more and to get myself back. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. So I love that you say you don't know, because you're doing it. So everything you just shared is, first off, exactly what you should be doing. When we are getting curious, and it sounds like that's what you've been doing. You're not depressed, you're very aware of that. You just realize there's something amiss, that's something you feel a little bit disconnected from. And what that disconnection is it's your inner knowing of truth, and then your external observation of reality. And that's where the disconnect is. So your internal nudge to try things that you've never tried before, that you might have thought were like nuts before, and the inclination to get into nature, this is actually very, very, very clear. And this is very, very, very good guidance. And I would love it if those of you in the studio with me here in Fireside right now, I would love to see by a show of let's do the party face. There's like a little, if you go to the reactions, there's a little um guy with it's blowing a horn, a little like a birthday party guy. I want to see that from anybody who resonates with what Tony just said and has been feeling the same kind of way. Yeah, thank you, Sandy. I know there's more too. Maybe not here in Fireside with us, but I've been speaking with a lot of people for a lot of time, and I've spent the last few years traveling around North America and spending time in different communities all across the country and in Canada. And you are definitely not alone, Sandy, and you are right on track with what that inclination is. And so my recommendation to you is to think less, feel more. And when you feel a sense of release or relief, and when you feel good, this is when you feel God. This is when you are feeling your inner being saying yes. And oftentimes, when we are focusing on what the expectations of others are and what our responsibilities are, we get inside of our minds and we feel badly. We feel shame and we feel blame and we feel anger and we feel all kinds of different things. And that is not the way it's meant to be. And that is just our internal guidance system telling us take a breath because breath is life, right? And
Right.
so when we are meditating because it comes easy and it feels good, we are on the right path. But when we are doing it because we are told this is what you should do, and so we're trying it because we're trying to hack the system essentially. We're trying to understand, well, I'm freaking out. And so I've got to meditate, got to meditate, got to meditate. That is not going to help. But what
Right.
does help is just to be. And so if taking a walk feels good and it makes you, that is meditation. If it's getting out into the woods, that is meditation. And I'm going to say something that might upset people, so but just be aware. I don't care. I love you all, but I also got to do me.
Right.
One of the things that I recommend to my clients is masturbation, because a lot of times when we are overwhelmed and we are in our heads and we are in the thick of it and the kids are screaming and the spouses are bitching and the job, there's deadlines and all the things, it's hard to get away, right? It's hard to find that time. And one of the fastest ways to get yourself out of your head and into your feeling body is sexual energy. And when we expect another to deliver that to us, then those expectations, that causes more stress. But when we allow ourselves to be with ourselves, and it doesn't even have to be a sexual touch, but this is one of the things that in early development as babies, as children, this is natural. We're taught that it's bad. But when we touch ourselves, for the feeling of feeling good, it makes us feel good,
Right.
unless we've got a lot of stories of shame and blame and all of that in our head. So for anybody listening who understands what I'm saying, I know it's a very taboo topic, but if you understand what I'm saying, you don't need to tell anybody about it. Just do what you need to do, because it's one of the things that if it feels good to you, whatever you can do for yourself, whether it's changing your space or a touch or whatever, it's for yourself and it feels good. It is good. It is getting you into your feeling of feeling good, of feeling God, and out of the headspace and out of the anxiety. And it helps you to reset so that you can take on anything else. Is that helpful?
It is. Can I ask you your opinion on something?
Anything.
So I recently, I don't know, have you heard of Tracy Ventura?
I have not.
Okay. So she does hypnosis healing, like higher self. Uh I'm just wondering um what your thought is on like past life regression and in between lives. If you
Yeah,
think that's something that does help people or
well, I appreciate you asking, and because this is my show and because I am who I am, I'm gonna speak my mind, okay? So, I did extensive studying in the healing arts, and I'm a Reiki master, and I went through hypnotherapy. I
oh
decided
wow.
not to become a hypnotherapist, so I did not do my clinicals because I was satisfied with the skill set that I had gained.
Mhm.
I didn't feel that I didn't want to be a hypnotherapist. So I've studied this theory of past life regression, and I feel personally, this is just my personal opinion, it is a tool that some people use to make sense of things, just like tarot,
Mhm.
just like astrology, just like numerology, just like any divination tool, just like the Bible, right? Studying anything that helps us make sense of life can be useful if it feels good to you. If it feels scary to you, if it feels not good to you, it is not going to serve you no matter what the other person thinks about it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And so, my interpretation, my observations about past lives and everything like this, I'll actually share a quick story with you before
Mhm.
I tell you. So, when I was in school for massage, excuse me, massage therapy, and I had a course in reflexology, and it's funny because my teacher, she was very spiritual, and she came to the table, and I hated having my feet worked. I mean, it really, when I was younger, I couldn't stand my feet being touched ever, and it was just always a thing. It would, like, my feet would cramp up if anybody touched my feet. So going through the reflexology course was brutal for me, and I had to do a lot of mindfulness and meditation and breathing and all of that to get through it. And she came to me and she said, you know, and she really believed in past lives. And she said, and I was curious at that time. I didn't believe or disbelieve, but it just wasn't something that I was curious, but not excited about it, right? And she
Mhm.
said, you are, you have pain in your feet because in a past life, you were in a concentration camp. You were a Jewish child and you were in a concentration camp, and your feet were smashed with, what is it called? Like a sledgehammer.
Oh.
Yeah, this, and so at the time I thought, "Oh my goodness." Like, okay, like I don't know that I buy that, but and at the time I think that was like around 2003, 2004, maybe 2002. It was early 2000s. I had just moved back to the US from Germany, and it didn't occur to me at the time. But years later, I had this memory and I had this connection thought when I, in the 90s, probably 1998, I was living in Germany and I had gone to a couple of different camps. I was fascinated by the Holocaust. I'm fascinated by history and how things happen and how humans behave and why they behave. And I went to Dachau, and this is a concentration
Mhm.
camp outside of Munich for anybody who is unaware of that. And I was so moved at this camp. And I'm so blessed and fortunate to have been there at that time where there still were people who lived through it there. And
Mhm.
my entire 5 years in Germany was there's so oh, it was just so wonderful and mm, I can talk about that all day on another day. But
I
the
lived in
point is,
Germany a few years before
oh
you
my
were
gosh,
there. So, yeah.
beautiful. So, so I was at Dachau and I remembered this. There, have you ever been to Dachau? Just out of curiosity.
I have not.
Okay.
I know
So
what you're talking
there's
about though.
yeah. So when you go in, it's very physical, And unlike some of the other camps that were preserved after the Russians came in and liberated, um,
Mhm.
Dachau was preserved very well. And there's different stations, and you could go in and read and be in the space where things actually happened. And I was really drawn to these. They were almost like cabinets for change rooms,
Mm.
where it was a stall, and there was a door that uh had was just partially covering. It was covering like where a person's body would be, but the
Mhm.
bottom was open and above the head was open. And I remembered when I was there, I had this insane visceral experience that was just so. I don't really have words for it, and I've never shared it before. This is the first time
Mhm.
I'm speaking of this, so I
Uh,
apologize if the words are a little difficult to
no,
come
it's
out.
okay.
So I remember when I was there having just this profound heart pain, for lack of a better term, and
Mhm.
just feeling really connected there. And so many, many, many years later, I just out of the blue, I had this thought one day, and I go, oh my gosh, well, I don't know if I believe in past lives, but how interesting that maybe 5 years before I was in this reflexology course, and this woman came to me out of the blue and told me the reason I had these foot problems was because of this past life story. And I just thought that that was interesting. And I don't have the foot problems anymore. And so that, that's something that if I wanted to hold on to that, I could very well say, okay, now I understand past lives. And I was in a past life. I lived this life, and this is why I've had these experiences. And for many people, that is enough. That's what they want to be able to say, yes, that feels that makes sense. I
Mhm.
understand myself better. And if that is the case for you, for anyone, that anything, whether it's past lives or something else, helps you have relief about that which is misunderstood or you're seeking to
Mhm.
understand, then it is good. What I now believe at this point in my evolution of my life is that there is no time and space as we believe it, and that
Mhm.
we are all connected, and that, Tony, you and I are of the same energy. We are of the same divinity. And so while we each look different and we speak different and we experience life differently, at the end of the day we are all connected. And I personally believe that everyone who has ever lived is in conscious contact with me at any given time. And I am them as well. And I've had my own personal experiences as a channel and as a medium of that. And that's how I can best put words to it. Is that
Mhm.
helpful?
It is. It'll be interesting. I actually have an appointment on the 18th, and I'm curious because I think I do. I think it might help me to feel like I can understand things better. I have like some ideas or visions or maybe slight memories, and I'm not sure what I think about it. And so I guess I just want to see what happens and
The
see.
best the best thing I can advise is do it, right? You're already doing it, so that's great. But when you do it, again, think less, feel more. Go in with the intention of enjoyment, because when
Mm-hmm.
you're enjoying, you are receiving that which is desired, that is wanted. When we go into something, anything, with fear, then that is what we are going to most likely take away, more fear. And so, whenever, whether it's something that's wanted that you're choosing, like going in for a session to experience this new modality, or whether you're about to go into a shopping center, it doesn't matter. And anytime physical, like whether we're doing something that's just a normal part of the day or we're doing something that's very intentional for our own health and healing, take a moment and rather than just going on autopilot, turn off a car, get out, walk in the door, get to the next thing, take a moment before you go into any next thing. So when you stop the car and you turn it off, before getting out, take a deep breath and appreciate the parking spot. Appreciate the proximity. Appreciate whether you're late or early, doesn't matter. Appreciate that you're there. Appreciate that you have an intention of going in. So I'm going to use grocery store right now because this what the way we do one thing is the way we do all things. And so it's possible to apply the lessons you learn in anything of your in any aspect of your life to all aspects of your life. And so for example, if we're going into we got a whole list of groceries to get and we got no time or running late and we've got all these different things and I hope I'm not in a long line, all this. Take a breath and just clear your mind and appreciate I'm at the grocery store. I have these things to get and all will be fine. If they're there, perfect. If they're not perfect, when I leave here, I'll have the groceries, right? And so when you go in then, it's a different energy and things become much easier because you're expecting ease. You're expecting that ease and flow. And then when you're done with the grocery store before turning on the car and backing up and almost hitting somebody and causing an accident, take that breath again and adjust and just remember, okay, now I have everything that I need for now. Now I'm looking forward to the next segment. So I'm going to drive and it's going to be easy and I'm going to enjoy the drive. And if there's traffic, it's okay because that means that it'll just take me a couple more minutes. And at the end of the day, you know, what's a couple more minutes because I only have this one life to live. And so we're constantly appreciating, we're constantly going to have things to appreciate. And so when you go into whether it's past life regression, whether it's hypno, a polarity session, a reading, anything, just check yourself and make sure you're going in with the intention of experiencing the joy and coming out with newfound awarenesses. And so that way I don't like the word protecting because protecting insinuates that there is a thing to protect
Right.
against, but you're lining up with your interests. You are about to do something that you believe is going to be good and helpful. So don't let yourself go with anybody else's thoughts about it, but you
Right.
go in reminding yourself, this is good, this is helpful, I'm going to have fun. Let's see how this feels.
Definitely. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Thank you. I really appreciate you playing. That was the most dynamic conversation I've had on Clubhouse or anywhere publicly, to be honest with you. So thank you for
Oh
that.
my gosh. Thank you. Well, it was
Absolutely.
fun. I appreciate it.
Likewise. So if anybody else would like to hop into the hot seat and have a chat, then please, by all means, hit that button. And if not, I can wrap up and head on over to Stephanie's show. She's starting in at 9:30, I believe, and she's going to be talking about Twitter and some other things that she feels are very important for us to know about. And so wow, what a wonderful audience. Heidi, Mary, Shoshani, Terry, Natalie, Elle Merritt, Candace, Tammy, Tony, Anu, Candy, Anita, MNMS. What a beautiful picture you have there. Melissa, Valerie, thank you all so much for being here. Tony, thank you so much for being here and for being so brave. Anytime you guys want to come back, please do join me and hop into the hot seat. And I love this. And I'm here as long as you guys want to interact, I'm here for it. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day or night.